Reporting in another chapter with the dysfunctional family. And putting fun into the dysfunction is the only way to stay functional. What's going on? My two sisters wanted our father to go into assisted living with our mother, and my father really did not want to. And then my mother, as it turned out, really did not want to either. We have to consider that she has just had a massive stroke. She was in the hospital for a month, and she thought she was in the hospital for 4 days. So we all are going to do our part to help, okay? But everybody, because it's a dysfunctional family, wants to tell the other people what it is that they want them to do to help. The family structure was created, there was a very bossy matriarch. And so it's toxic feminine. And the toxic feminine wants you to do their plan. Whereas the divine feminine, the feminine that knows what the divine feminine actually is, follows the heart path. Where is it that is the heart path for the situation? Where's the heart path? And the heart path is in providing in-home care and not sending our parents home onto a assisted living home before they're ready to go, or before it becomes physically necessary for them to. So you have to exhaust the remedies of it. So this is the intention. Brother and I have this intention. My two older sisters were ready to just pawn them off to an assisted living. It's not like they didn't do anything. It's just that their idea of what the solution for our parents was decided by two, a committee of two. Where we were at is I came and stayed with my brother for a night because I landed, and I went up there to see them, to get to see the situation. I spent a day here in my brother's home to adjust to the reality. And then I went up there for a night, taking it one day at a time, and lasted the one night. No lie, I'm at my brother's place in Tucson, Arizona. We will be going up to see the rents again. Yesterday was a dress rehearsal, and I will be spending the first overnighter there tonight. It's gonna be like the going through the looking glass into Alice in Wonderland. Only it's gonna be Jane in Wonderland, my mother, Calamity Jane. Hey, I haven't seen myself in a three-way. How long? I don't do three-ways, but three-way mirror, you know what I mean? When you go into a dressing room. Yeah, I met the neighbors, and I'm gonna go out and look at some celestial bodies. Yeah, seriously. So I'm also eavesdropping on my parents as I finish my beer. I'm in the safety of the bathroom. Nobody bothers you in the bathroom. My father is taking the bait in this conversation with Jane. I'm hoping he has coping skills. I said it is going to take work, one step at a time, one day at a time. I'm just going to finish this beer here and go outside. People who have dementia actually will not remember how long they're sitting in the chair. For goodness sake, she could.
Like a dog.
They're like they're an alpha. They're like a cat. If you just leave the room, give yourself permission. Give yourself 2 hours. But my father won't give himself enough time to recover. And so as long as you leave her alone, what you have to do, you have to walk away from her giving you a verbal diatribe. And this is hard. And then tonight, we had the what happens when you die moment. And when I said to him, snap to it, I said, you're a Freemason. I'm an Eastern Star. Wake up. He woke up and he listened. So apparently that has some clout. So there's my dad picking out ice cream. He's looking for something. What could it be? I still haven't found what I'm looking for. What kind of ice cream?
I don't see any without sugar added. I don't know why it's so damn difficult.
I didn't think they had sugar-free ice cream.
They always have.
Is there a sugar-free ice cream? I found it! Here it is.
Yeah, you found
Mint chip, chocolate chip. It's all right there. Those two. Open up that one. Putting fun into the dysfunction is the only way to stay functional. Here are the facts. Jane, the narcissist mother who now has dementia, has always been combative and confrontational, but now it's worse. No patience in tantrums and is demanding. But here's the other fact. When she came out of what she thought was a 4-day sickness, muscles atrophy for 4 weeks. Do things because she didn't have the strength she had. She has had muscles atrophy for 4 weeks, okay? Not 4 days. So that made matters. Finally, now she realizes she had a stroke. Enough people told her. It sunk in. It is very stressful. When Dad's there, you have to keep aware of Dad because he keeps poking the bear. It's almost like he needs her to be verbally ragging on him in order for him to feel alive. So they have this codependency, enablement thing going on. I see it for what it is. I see how toxic it is, how much it was worse than I thought. The narcissist is a miserable, miserable person. They are miserable. It's on a spectrum and there's varying levels, just like autism. So we have on top of that dementia.
Memory loss, which is usually noticed by someone else. Confusion and disorientation. Psychological changes, anxiety, inappropriate behavior. And then went to see a doctor, which of course Mom's seen a doctor. Dementia is caused by damage to or loss of nerve cells and their conditions in the brain. Depending on the area of the brain that's damaged, dementia can affect people differently and cause different symptoms. Types of dementias that progress and aren't reversible: Alzheimer's disease. This is the most common cause of dementia. Vascular dementia. This type of dementia is caused by damage to the vessels that supply blood to your brain, or affect the brain in other ways, such as damaging the fibers in the white matter of the brain. The most common signs of vascular dementia include difficulties with problem solving, slowed thinking, and loss of focus and organization. These tend to be more noticeable than memory loss.
Our trouble with Calamity Jane is she lives up to her name, Calamity Jane. She's always been very, very hostile. Oh, yeah. So she's not going to be nice about her confusion. Dad, you have to leave the room. And so he went back to the bedroom. So shut the door. And I go, okay, well, this is what you do. You go into the kitchen to make the lunch, because I asked him, do you have enough food? And yes, and he had a nurse that came yesterday. And the nurse said that he 100% was capable of taking care of his own personal care. She gave him the go-ahead. They told us he was physically capable of providing for his own personal care. Jane, however, would need some help, and we will arrange that, and we are arranging it. My father is there to help her, but she yells and screams at him. I was there. I know. I was there for a morning. I'd never seen my mother's nude body before. She's always been very, very modest. And she went to use the shower, and she changed her mind about which shower she was going to use. And she couldn't operate either one of them because she didn't have the strength anymore. So loss of physical ability. So it's like, but instead of being like, I can't do this or I need help, she'll yell and scream at him. So that's her narcissistic personality. Pathological one, shining through loud and clear for us all to see. So I said to Dad, you know, change your tactics. It's okay for you to walk out of that room and give yourself a break. And when you go into the kitchen to make lunch, then by all means, don't leave anything burning, but really, you know, don't get harangued. You have to pay attention. And he has confidence now because the nurse told him he could take care of those things. He was given the permission to cook for himself. We started recognizing Alzheimer's and dementia from post-industrial era. If anybody else hasn't seen the connection, my parents just need help with personal care now. They need help with cooking, and they need help with cleaning. But putting them in the home would have been the last thing to do because my mother is so abusive. They would have isolated her, and she would have lived her last days even worse than what she is. The person we're most concerned about is my dad. And my dad is also an enabler. I've taught him, I've said to him, Dad, don't go back in there. When you have gotten enough verbal abuse, stop poking the bear. Do the gray rock method. He doesn't have any of the coping techniques that I used to survive. You use gray rock method not to stay in the relationship, but you use the gray rock method in order to not be triggered in that relationship, okay? And what does it mean? It means you pretend that you are a gray rock. And what does the gray rock do? Nothing. It's boring. A narcissist is looking for attention from you, and if they can't get it, they'll create a confrontation because they have to have confrontations and conflict to feel alive. It's the only way they feel secure. And then they drive everybody else crazy. We have on top of that dementia. And, you know, this entire experience of having gone through my own healing from narcissistically abusive partners, and then finally recognizing in the summer of August 2022 that the source was both my parents, actually.